Right, so I said I was going to do this when I had just dyed all of my hair. However, I haven't done that because I just haven't had time. I have done my roots and I know what I'm talking about, so bear with me. Also, my dog keeps coming in and out of the door, so ignore that. Okay, so I like to wait until my hair isn't freshly washed. This is my personal preference. This is what I find works for me. If it doesn't work for you, if you don't think that's how you do it, if you've been professionally trained for the past 10 years and that's not how you do it, I don't care, this is what I do. I wait at least until my hair is one day unwashed, regardless of if I'm bleaching it, if I'm permanently dyeing it, if I'm using semi-permanent dyes, whatever. I just don't like doing unwashed hair. The box of the dye or whatever it is gives instructions. You should always follow them, especially if it's bleach or permanent dye. If it's semi-permanent, you can leave it in for longer than it says. It tends to say about 15 to 20 minutes. You can leave it in for longer than that. But when it's something like permanent dye or bleach, it's important that you follow that. Especially with bleach, I would not risk going over the maximum time limit. Regardless of if your hair is still bright orange or not, then you should still wash it out if you've gone over the maximum time limit. Right, so I've used 3 different bleachers to bleach my hair. First one I've used is Manic, second one Stargazer, third one it's just like some random one from a hair shop. It's like a true blue powder bleach, and then there's a big bottle of 30 volume, whatever that stuff's called. In the packs with Manic, Stargazer and Crazy Colour, that will come with powder bleach, a tint brush, a non-metallic bowl, gloves, and then I don't know the exact name for it, but it's the stuff that it's either 20, 30 or 40 volume, and it's a liquid, and you mix the liquid with the powder. If you've never bleached your hair before, I'd recommend getting something that actually has the instructions and it has like a set amount of powder or whatever, so you know how much you want to put to each. You don't want to like just mess about with it and see what works and what doesn't. The liquid stuff, that's 30 volume or whatever, if you're running short on the powder, don't add more of that, because all that does is open your hair's pores. Choose the volume according to your hair colour. If it's dark brown, you want it to be 40 vol. If it's like a light brown, then you want it to be 20 vol. I'm kind of like in the middle, so I get 30. I'd kind of recommend starting off with 30. If you have black, thick hair, I would recommend not doing it yourself and just going to a hairdresser. Again, do not leave it in any longer than it says. It tends to say for light hair, this long to this long, dark hair, this long to this long, and whatever. Don't do it any longer than like the maximum time. They recommend that when you're like first time bleaching your hair, you work from the lengths and up to the roots. The reason for this is because the heat from your head makes the process faster at your roots. So you know when you see people with like white roots and then the ends are like yellow or orange, that is why. However, in practice that's really difficult to do. If you're only doing your roots, only do your roots. Like this, if I have roots to do, I only do the roots. I do not bring the bleach down here, even if I have loads of bleach left. Do not re-bleach bits that don't need bleaching, because that's just going to damage your hair for no reason. Right, so if your hair is orange, and I mean orange, then bleach your hair again. But if it's like a light or lemony yellow orangey colour, there's no point, because nothing is going to help. Like, bleach is not going to help that. That's just not how bleach works. You're just going to damage it more and it's going to be the same colour. It's going to be pointless, really. If your hair is yellow, you want to use a purple toner and shampoo and conditioner. You can get tons of like purple stuff, and it's not an instant effect. You're not going to immediately put shampoo on your hair and then it will straight away get rid of all the brassiness. It's just a gradual thing. Toner, I think, is more of like an instant effect, but I'm not really that familiar with toner, so don't ask me too much about that. But it's essentially a purple dye that you put in your hair and you leave on it, and it is meant to counteract the yellow colour. If your hair is orangey yellow, then purple's not going to do anything. You need something blue with a blue undertone. However, you can't really buy blue toners. You could put blue dye on it, and to be honest, that would make it a kind of grey colour. I have done this before. It doesn't look very nice. What I would recommend is using an ash blonde dye. An ash blonde has blue undertones which counteracts the orange, meaning your hair, yes it is ash blonde, but it is no longer orange yellow. I think that is your best bet. You can apparently use semi-permanent ash dyes to do this, but I've never actually personally done it. But yeah, so if your hair's bright orange, ash dye is not going to do that much, but if it's like quite orangey yellow, then yes, ash blonde. Then on colourful hair, just so you know, the majority of colourful hair dyes are semi-permanent. There's a load of different brands, including Manic, Stargazer, Riche Directions, Crazy Colour, and tons, but they're just the 4 that I recommend. Well, Crazy Colour I found not very good for me, but I know people who have thought it's brilliant, so it kind of just depends on you and your hair. I'd say Stargazer, I've used a turquoise colour by them, it stayed in really well. Directions is generally quite good, and Manic, although it is quite expensive, it is also good, but you kind of have to mix and match and see what colour you want and what you prefer and what consistency works for you and stuff like that. With semi-permanent, you want to leave it in for 20 minutes plus. Some people sleep in it, and I've never done that, but I have left it in for like 2 hours before. Because it's essentially a coloured conditioner, it's not going to cause that much harm to your hair. And you also want to make sure that your hair is at least a lemony yellow before you put the colour on, lemony yellow to white, unless it's like a pink, because pinks can kind of go on orange, and obviously if you're dyeing it like bright orange, it will go on orange. But if you're wanting like a blue or a green or a purple, then you're going to want it to be as yellow/white as possible. If you want a pastel colour, you need it to be white, because it won't go on it unless it's white. Because colours like that are semi-permanent, you're going to have to re-dye it about every 2 to 4 weeks, depending on how fussy you are with the colour. And like my hair colour when it was turquoise, it faded a lot, but I quite like the colour it faded to, so I didn't mind. If you're someone who has extensions and you need it to like stay the same colour, you're going to have to dye it quite frequently. If you want to know more about the products I use, I do have a whole video on that, I'll link that here. But generally I'd recommend, if you want it to be blonde, obviously purple shampoos. If your hair's purple, that will also work quite well to maintain it. Because you bleached it, you want to deep condition it. Deep conditioners are very good for your hair. Make sure, well, try and get some with like proteins in, because your hair is essentially made out of protein. So if it says like it's protein enriched and stuff, that's good for your hair. There's several different oils out now. There's argan oil. I personally use Moroccan oil. I can only speak for Moroccan oil because that's the only one I've used, but there are tons of different oils out these days. So just kind of try and find things that your hair will soak up, and it will nourish it, and it will make it soft and not be dead. Relevant to if your hair's blonde or a different colour, you need to bleach your roots. And only your roots. Unless you put the colour on like an orange and it turned out that that wasn't a good plan and you do need to re-dye that, re-bleach that, you shouldn't have to re-bleach anything, including if you want to go from one colour to another. I recommend using hair strippers. I've used colour before. They won't always work. My friend dyed her hair blue and the blue would not get out of her hair. It wouldn't come out of her hair, and it won't always, because of colour build up, and if you've dyed your hair a lot, then the colour will build up in your hair. But it's, to be honest, it's all a load of research and experimentation, and all of this I know is on the internet and from my own experimenting. Literally, just give it a go. Don't be scared, it's only hair. Thank you for watching, I hope you have a really nice day, and happy Christmas!